far as the baseball world is concerned. Jay's in the house today. Marty Montazzo here. Coop, of course, will direct the line momentarily as we take you home here and get you started on your baseball Tuesday. Yankees and Mets. We'll undoing in a little bit. Let's do a couple things as far as where we stand here. You know, I love doing this as it is. Games last night. NL first, wild card. And we're going to keep an eye on these 5 teams that are all struggling. The Reds can't beat Milwaukee. Phillies only 6 games over 500. Turner's had a terrible year. They're only 6 games over 500. The Giants have turned around after a good stretch. They've lost 6 in a row. And then, of course, Arizona's 4-13 in the month of July. One of those, and Miami can't win a game. They won a game the other day. Big deal. Beat the Rockies, but they can't win a game. So when you think about it, you got 5 teams right now for those 3 spots in the NL and the wild card scenario, and home field too, because remember the leading wild card team gets 3 games at home in that first round series that begins in that first 4 or 5 days there of October. But all these teams aren't that good. I mean, the Giants, first off, the Dodgers are gone. All right, the Dodgers are gone in the NL West. Arizona's not catching them. The Giants aren't catching them. I know it's only 4 games, but does anybody think out there that the Dodgers aren't going to win the division? And you know they're going to make moves in 4 or 5 days. They got the farm system, the wherewithal. They're going to be very, very active. So let's leave L.A. Milwaukee's killing the Reds, so let's give them the division. And then, of course, we know about Atlanta. So I actually forgot a team because you got the Reds, you got the Phillies, you got the Marlins. I got it right. And then you got, of course, the Giants, and you got the Diamondbacks. And I don't know who's going to, out of those 5, your guess is as good as mine, who are going to be the 3 left. The one negative. Now, listen, everybody likes playoff baseball. Everybody loved the wild card sequence last year. The best of 3 for the week was exciting. But there is a negative. And the negative is these teams are 85, 86 win teams. These are not good teams. I mean, they're okay, but these are not big. A good team in baseball is 90 wins. That's a good team. These teams are not going to get the 90 wins. The Giants ain't winning 90 games. The Diamondbacks are terrible. I mean, they can't get out of their own way. Their bullpen, last night they killed them against the Cardinals. They're not going to win 90 games. The Marlins, big, deep end of the pool for them. They've been awful. They're not winning 90 games. And although I think the Phillies had the capabilities to win 90 games, again, look at the record. They are 53-47. I know last year they played well, but they only won 87 games last year. Phillies are not going to win 90 games. So, I mean, as a result of that, you got 5 teams in the mid-80s for the 3 spots. And remember, home field does lie there for that 4th-seeded team. Right now, if you ask me, I don't know where to go. Let me see how the deadline shakes itself out. Let me see who edifies their team with bullpen help and maybe a starting pitcher. The Reds have the 2 avenues to get in, which gives them a little advantage because they easily can win the division. They can't beat the Brewers. And last night, another terrible loss, walking people left and right in the 9th inning. In the 8th inning, Brewers finally got a hit. But, I mean, the Red, somebody's going to add some components with which is going to help them. So the Reds, the Marlins, I'm not sure how much money those 2 teams will spend and how much prospects they are willing to unload. The Phillies will be active, the Giants will be active, and Arizona will be sort of half and half. But the Reds have the best chance because they got the 2 paths to make the postseason. The Giants, Arizona, Miami, and Philadelphia do not. Nobody else right now I'm going to even consider. The Mets I'm not considering. San Diego's lost 2 games in a row already after they played fairly well for a little while. Padres are still 5 under 500. I'm not considering them. Cubs are under 500. I'm not considering them. It's 5 for 3 in the NL as far as the wild card is concerned. In the American League, how about the Orioles? Kimball worries me from the Philadelphia closing scenario. Orioles capitalized last night, a double down the left field line that Schwarber couldn't quite catch. They win the game in Philadelphia after an emotional series in Tampa. They got a lot of momentum right now. They're 4 games up, lost column on the Rays as far as the American League East is concerned. Once they get through the Yankees this weekend, and the Yankees play well in Camden Yards. It was 3-0 in the old days before the game even started. Somebody hit a 3-run homer. But once the Orioles get the Yankees out of their rearview mirror this weekend, they don't see the Yankees the rest of the way, which is a huge advantage because they lead. The Orioles, though, got a lot going on. They got a lot of young players. Their pitching is held up much better than I thought it would. We know the back end of that bullpen, Cano, Batista, has been good. They can use another guy out there, and they'd probably get that. And I still think they need a big starting pitcher. But the Orioles right now, you can make a case. You know, chances are they're going to have the best record in the American League. So they're going to get the 1 seed. That means they get a bye and everything goes through Camden down the road. And maybe they get a break that they play like a Guardian or Twin in a first-round divisional series. But the Orioles are playing well. That was a good win last. That's a good gut check. That's a tough spot. In Tampa, won 3 out of 4. Sort of a sandwich series against the Phillies. I know it's a rivalry. They're close by. And 44,000 are in the ballpark. But a sandwich series, and they figured out a way to get a run in the 9th inning. That's a heck of a job by Baltimore. I still think Houston is going to win the NL, and I think both are going to make the playoffs. But I think Houston's going to win the American League West. Last night, Texas walked the ballpark. They pitched that young kid again who got him in big trouble. That's the second time they've done that. They pitched him Friday, he walked the ballpark. Pitched him last night, he walked the ballpark. They got to do something about that set. You can't just try to win with Chapman and Will Smith. Now, Chapman was struggling last night, too. But you need more than that in your bullpen, and you need another starting pitcher. We shall see if they do that. Houston, with all their moxie, obviously Tucker's scoring there, the game-winning run on the base hit. I guess he didn't score. He got the hit, right? I believe he got the hit. But a tremendous job by the Astros, who had a pretty good road trip to start the second half. You know, they won a series in Anaheim. They beat the A's. They had to work awfully hard in doing so. I mean, everybody knows the Astros have wherewithal. They have, don't be shocked if they make a run at Dylan Cease. They have wherewithal. They have money. They're outside of the Braves. They've been the best franchise in the sport the last 6-7 years. We all know how good Dusty is. They're going to get some healthy people back. Alvarez is going to play eventually. Brantley might play eventually. Altuve might play eventually. I think Houston might catch. They're only 2 out. They were 2 out in middle of July. They're 2 out again. They got a couple of more games here with Texas this week down in Houston. You got to figure Houston's going to figure out a way to win the American League West. So that leaves, I still think Houston, Texas, and Baltimore and Tampa will make it. So you still got the 2 teams. So it's a good win by the Blue Jays last night at Dodger Stadium. That's 2 in a row for them. They're up and down Toronto. One day you can't stand them. They blow a ball game. Next day you say, wow, look at the Blue Jays showing you some life. At the end of the day, it says the same way. They're always somewhere between 8 and 10 games over 500. They might have to advance some to get to that 90. I do think in the American League you can win 90 wins. To get into the playoffs. I don't think that will be the case in the NL. I think it'd be an extra 4 or 5 wins in the American League to get in. I still think the Yankees will figure it out with Tampa, with the Orioles, Houston, Texas, and the Guardians and the Twins. And the Twins got a big advantage on them right now. You know, the Guardians are under 500. The Twins are 6 over. They got a 4-game lead. But they had that last year and they fell apart. But they got a 4-game lead in the American League Central. This is interesting baseball right now. You got a week to go before the deadline. You got the Cardinals. You got the Cubs. You obviously have the Mets. You have San Diego. You got 4 or 5 teams that is San Diego going to not trade Blake Snell and Hader? What are they going to do in that situation? They're both free agents. Snell's going to want $150 million. I mean, are you going to go out there and you're going to keep him on the team when you're under 500 and out of it? And then, and Mr. Boris is the agent. How are you going to handle that? Let's say they keep Soto. Well, what are you going to do with Snell? It's very interesting. A lot of tough questions for San Diego and Houston and the Mets as far as the NL is concerned. We'll get to Ronnie about that in a minute. All right, that's where we begin as the day begins in baseball with some interleague stuff, Cubs and White Sox, and, of course, the Mets visiting the Yankees in the Bronx. Here's Alana as she says hello, good morning to her. Ms. Rizzo, how are you today? Okay?
I'm good. Good morning. The Arizona Diamondbacks, Miami Marlins, and San Francisco Giants are going in the wrong direction, Chris. You just mentioned that, but I have to tell you that the Boston Red Sox are going in the right direction, at least in the recent week. If you take a look at what the Red Sox are doing now, the Red Sox and Yankees are tied as far as 2.5 games back in the wild card to get in. Head-to-head, the Red Sox have the advantage because of the season series. I want to say that they're 5-1 against the Yankees so far this season. But I want to brag a little bit about 2 guys that are doing very well as of late for the Boston Red Sox, Jarren Duran and Tristan Casas. This is why. Jarren Duran is slashing .431, .473, .784 with 12 extra base hits and 15 runs scored over his last 16 games. It's basically scoring a run per game. Overall, his .881 OPS this season is 6th best in the American League. Tristan Casas, 452, 528, and a slugging percentage over 1.065. 5 home runs, 9 RBI over his last 10 games. Overall, 247 average, 14 home runs, 36 RBI in 87 games. Now, the Red Sox are 13-5 over their last 18 games. That's the best record in baseball since the start of play on June 30th. So for the month of July, they have the best record in all of baseball, not just the American League and certainly not just the AL East. So they're 2.5 games behind the Blue Jays for the final wild card spot, but they're playing better than the Yankees are playing right now. In season series 5-1, they have the Yankees number this season. And by the way, I know that we say that the Orioles are lucky that they don't have to play the Yankees, but head to head, the Yankees and the Orioles this year are 5-5, and I think overall, right now, I mean, really in 2023, the Orioles are a better team than the Yankees have been in 2023. You can see the upcoming schedule for the Boston Red Sox. I'm not saying they're going to win the AL East, obviously, but they're playing better when they need to play. I think the Midsummer Classic, that break is interesting to see who's good, who's hot. But in any event, the Red Sox are playing better, at least doing what they're supposed to be doing heading into the final part of this year.
They got a tough stretch right now. Braves, Giants, and Mariners in the next 3 series. Mariners and Giants on the road. That'll be a little tricky. They need to do some help. See, the Red Sox are in a tough spot. I don't think they want to add. I don't think the Red Sox want anything to do with it. I think they want to rebuild their team a little bit. And the Yankees, they can't. They're tired. They're ahead of the Yankees, and the Yankees aren't going to subtract. So the Red Sox are going to have to go out there and add payroll, add some players, give up some prospects, because they're only a couple of games back in the wild card. So we shall see how Boston does that. And you're right, they have played well here these last 18 games. They're 5-1 against the Yankees, and they have not lost to Toronto, 7-0 against them. So the Yankees, the Red Sox are 12-1 against 2 teams they're going to have to fight out for a playoff spot in the American League. Great job, Alana. She's going to be